Right now at 6, a jury reaches a verdict in the case of a Vancouver police officer accused of using too much force against a suspect, plus paying a premium to visit one of Oregon's natural wonders.
We saw an opportunity to be able to utilize this as a premier parking area.
Then, TriMet rolls out its new zero-emission buses.
These buses will be able to get at least 150 miles on a single charge.
And later,
I was like 2 or 3 when I first started hitting a ball.
The local 14-year-old whose pitch, putt, and drive landed him straight at the top.
Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molka. We begin at 6 with a verdict in Clark County where this afternoon a jury found a Vancouver police officer not guilty of assaulting a shoplifting suspect. Thomas Schultz is live outside the Clark County Courthouse with the latest reaction. Thomas?
Yeah, well, David, it was a sense of relief from Mendoza, her family, and fellow officers. And this comes after Mendoza and her partner responded to a shoplifting call at a local Walmart last May. That's when they tried to arrest Elijah Guffey-Prejean, though he arrested. That's when Mendoza pulled Guffey-Prejean's pants down and threatened to tase him in the genitals.
We, the jury, find the above-named defendant not guilty of the crime of assault in the 4th degree.
After 4.5 hours of deliberation, hugs and handshakes went around after jurors found Vancouver police officer Andrea Mendoza not guilty of misdemeanor assault of Elijah Guffey-Prejean when she did this.
Knock it up or I'll do it in your nuts.
Pulled his pants down and held a taser to Guffey-Prejean's genitals last May. The question jurors tasked to answer was exposing him a reasonable use of force. Defense attorney John Terry says it was.
The one thing that stopped it was cold metal on his testicles.
Prosecutors for the city of Vancouver disagree.
This is an assault. This is why you're here.
Mendoza's exposure of Guffey-Prejean came minutes after she and her partner stopped him for stealing candy from Walmart.
Again, we're talking about a petty theft from Walmart.
As officers tried to place the then 19-year-old under arrest, video shows Guffey-Prejean scuffle before being tackled to the ground. Then, as Mendoza and her partner rolled him over, he fled. That's when Mendoza initially tased him on the back, before threatening to tase his genitals. And prosecutors say Mendoza had reason to arrest Guffey-Prejean and use force.
There's no disagreement that law enforcement had reason to arrest Elijah that night,
though not expose him for almost 2 minutes.
but police officers are not above the law.
Mendoza's lawyer, John Terry, argued her actions were not offensive and were reasonable considering the circumstances.
I would actually argue that an ordinary person who had just shoplifted, resisted arrest, and assaulted 2 officers would likely not be terribly offended by any of the touching of flag.
Now, of course, jurors eventually, after hours of deliberation, siding with the defense. And it's important to note that while Mendoza was found not guilty here, she doesn't go straight back to work. She's still on administrative leave within the Vancouver Police Department. There's actually an ongoing internal investigation, which was paused until this trial wrapped up. It resumed this afternoon. David?
All right, we'll see what happens there. Thomas Schultz in Vancouver tonight. Thank you, Thomas. Developing this evening in Hillsborough, a doorbell camera video has prompted a search for a possible kidnapping victim and the suspect. A warning, this may be disturbing to some viewers. Police say it appears this was 10:45 last night at a home near Southeast 32nd Avenue and East Main Street. In the video shared with KGW, a woman seems to be urgently ringing the doorbell and crying for help before she is grabbed and carried away.
Please help me!
All right, police say they appear to have left in an extended or crew cab white pickup without a canopy. If you know anything about the people in this video, you are asked to call Hillsborough Police. In your headlines, Portland police have identified the man who was shot and killed last week in Southeast Portland. 30-year-old Marc Léon Tellion and a woman who were shot at Southeast 84th and Powell last Monday. But the woman survived, but Tellion died from his injuries. He'd recently arrived in Portland from Haiti. Detectives say they believe this was a random shooting. No word on any arrests. Today, Governor Kotek announced efforts to build a semiconductor technology center at Intel's Hillsborough site. The governor made the reveal today during an event to celebrate Intel's plans to spend $36 billion to expand and modernize its operations. Governor Kotek says the state will collaborate with higher education representatives and local governments to try and get federal funds to build the center. The center would be affiliated with a national group dedicated to semiconductor research and development. And a sailor and his 2 dogs are safe after they had to be rescued off the southern Oregon coast. This was Sunday afternoon when the Coast Guard says their boat lost power and started taking on water. A chopper from Air Station North Bend found it nearly 40 miles off Whales Head Beach, which is near Brookings. Both man and dogs hoisted up by basket and then flown to shore. The man was checked out by medics, though no word on his condition. Matt?
All right, David, thank you very much. There's Mount Hood for you, beaming brightly on Portland's eastern skyline there. Just a beautiful day. We're at 69 degrees right now. Yes, we made the 70s, and yes, we're going to do that again tomorrow. We got some scattered high clouds moving through at the moment. That just might make for a great sunset tonight and possibly a great sunrise tomorrow morning. Otherwise, fairly inconsequential with that cloud band. In fact, tomorrow will be warmer than today. After that, temperatures drop and the rain sets in. But tomorrow's a beauty. We'll get up to about 76 tomorrow, one of the warmer days of the month. So one more sunny, warm day, cooler but still dry on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, the rain begins. And once it begins, it's going to be with us for a while. The rainfall deficit we have for April may be going away. More on that later, David.
Thank you, Matt. The U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments today in a case that could have major implications on how cities deal with homelessness. The landmark case here centers around Grants Pass in southern Oregon, which tried to block people from sleeping and camping in public spaces, including sidewalks, streets, and city parks. At issue whether these rules violate constitutional protections against cruel and unusual punishment, and if local governments can enforce laws against people sleeping outside when there is no shelter space.
Where do we put them if every city, every village, every town lacks compassion and passes a law identical to this? Where are they supposed to sleep?
We usually think about whether state law, local law already achieves those purposes so that the federal courts aren't micromanaging a homeless policy.
Well, the justices here repeatedly conceded that addressing homelessness is a complex policy issue, and some conservative members expressed doubt that a lawsuit was the best way to deal with that. The court should release its decision by the end of June. Kyle Aboshi has a closer look at the case. It's coming up at 6:30 on The Story. Well, now at 6, it could soon cost you as much as $20 to park and visit Multnomah Falls. Daisy Caballero is live in the Columbia River Gorge with the details and reaction. Daisy?
Well, David, for years it has been absolutely free to park at this specific lot, but the owners tell me that they decided on these changes for 2 reasons: to help relieve congestion in the lot and to help fund a cheaper shuttle option to Multnomah Falls.
I love it. Multnomah Falls is endlessly inspiring in every season.
Multnomah Falls is known for attracting 2 to 3 million people every year.
We're visiting from Seattle, yeah.
Yeah, Seattle.
Utah, Salt Lake City.
So as soon as someone pulls out, you go ahead and park and come on back up here.
Okay. And with that comes parking chaos, especially in the lot directly across from the falls along the historic Columbia River Highway.
I've seen this road where it's just bumper to bumper cars, both sides.
Owners of the private lot have announced they will now charge between $5 to $20 for a day pass to park here, in hopes of helping reduce crime and congestion in a lot that's been free to park for years.
We saw an opportunity to be able to utilize this as a premier parking area.
Alan Daly is one of the co-owners of the lot and says this idea has been in the works since the off-season of last year. He adds parking fees will help fund a cheaper way for people to get to the falls with their free shuttle bus that travels from Bridalville, just 7 minutes away.
This is an opportunity that we find for folks to be able to come if they want across the street access. And we're really hoping that that price also might be a deterrent for people to park here and to go find more affordable options because they're there.
And people have mixed feelings about this.
Ticket below. The shuttle service means that more people get to enjoy the experience. I think that kind of is pretty fair.
Yeah, I think it should be free. Yeah, there's so many things we have to pay for in the world. You got to pay for everything to go anywhere.
As for the legality of the new parking fee, both the Forest Service and Multnomah County are reviewing it. But the owners don't believe it's against the law, according to their lawyers, saying, quote, "We believe our payment machines don't require a permit."
I understand the reasons. You know, it might curb congestion, but I doubt it. I think this might be the norm.
And while parking at the lot off I-84 is free for now, there will be a $2 timed entry permit between May 24th and September 2nd. We'll have more details on KGW.com. David, back to you.
Yeah, either way, for one of those lots, you're going to have to pay. Thank you, Daisy.